Hi, I'm Nadia and I'm the culture editor at GuildTV, which is usually just inside this building. But as you can see, the Guild is closed, and so is campus. So we're going to take this opportunity to wander around and show you some of the sculptures. If you're visiting the University of Birmingham from the on-campus train station, one of the first things you'll be met with is this dominating sculpture by Edoardo Paolozzi, towering at over 5 meters high. It's titled Faraday after the famous scientist.
Paolozzi's association with the University of Birmingham began in 1996 when he was awarded an honorary degree, and he has donated several artworks to the university since then. He was commissioned to create this work directly by the university in 2000 to mark the centenary of the University of Birmingham's Royal Charter in 1900. The sculpture is not a representation of Michael Faraday. As Paolozzi stated, it was not of him but for him. The scientist discovered many important principles, amongst them the laws of electromagnetic rotation. You can see this mimicked through the tangle of looping bronze between the figure's two hands, inspiring all scientists and students alike that humans can discover and control natural forces. The artist chose to embellish the base of the sculpture with engraved lettering from T.S. Eliot's poem Dry Salvages, which reads, "Fare forward, you who think you are voyaging. You are not those who saw the harbour receding, or those who will disembark. Here between the hither and the farther shore, while time is withdrawn, consider the future and the past with an equal mind."
I think the engraving speaks well to the university experience, the idea of studying those who have gone before you, whilst trying to carve out your own place, both in academia and the world beyond. It's apt that the sculpture sits here, watching the comings and goings of university life. If we wander outside the Mechanical and Civil Engineering department, hidden away in the bushes is this really interesting work by Edward Bainbridge Copnall. It's hard to believe that it's made of granite because it's so dynamic and energetic, it seems like it could wriggle at any moment.
Created in 1950, the artwork appears like an abstract, biomorphic shape, and yet as we look closer, you can see two figures emerge. The sculpture is titled The Wrestlers, and we can see this idea of grappling bodies and the fusion and tension between them. The artwork, as we can see by the inscription below, is dedicated to Professor F.K. Bannister, Professor of Thermodynamics, who founded the Postgraduate School of Thermodynamics here at Birmingham. As a science that explores energy and the relation between heat and other energy sources, wrestling can be seen as an apt metaphor for this area of study.
This artwork is by none other than Barbara Hepworth, who received an honorary degree from the university in 1960. In many ways, it pays homage to Cornwall, where the artist spent most of her life and where the Hepworth Museum now stands.
The forms of the separate bronze elements reflect the shapes of menhirs found in St. Ives. These were large standing stones erected in prehistoric times, the most famous example of which is surely Stonehenge. The bronze has a weathered appearance, again suggesting natural forms. It's created by chipping and rubbing the plaster mould from which the bronze sculpture was cast, a technique the artist called textural calligraphy. The holes and grooves are painted with a blue-green hue, which again mimics the colours of the Cornish coast, and the act of the water filling the cracks and caves along the shore.
The strong material of bronze means the sculpture is perfectly suited to living its life outside. And although closely linked with the artist's hometown, it sits nicely within the green and leafy Birmingham campus and brings a little bit of coast to Britain's most landlocked city. As we near the centre of UOB's campus, we reach Chancellor's Court, which is home to this statue by Bernard Sindall. It's called Girl in a Hat and depicts just that, a girl wearing nothing but a hat. And while she looks cool and calm, I don't think I'd recommend wearing this look to campus.
Her weight is shifted onto one leg in what is known as the contrapposto pose, which has a detailed history within art. The pose is meant to prevent a statue appearing static and instead give it a sense of life by suggesting relaxation and movement. In this sculpture, Sindel seems to reference the great Renaissance work, Donatello's David.
This work was a gift to the university by previous Vice-Chancellor Sir Robert Aitken and his wife upon his retirement in 1968, and it has been here ever since.
Situated in front of the Guild of Students, in what has become affectionately known as Mermaid Square, is a vibrant three-dimensional version of the mermaid from the university's coat of arms. The mermaid rides bronze waves atop a shell-shaped bowl, as if emerging from the water surrounding her, which sprouts from bronze lilies.
With her arms outstretched and a bright, smiling face, this sculpture is one of the favourites amongst students, providing a welcoming and uplifting presence. We end our trail on this traditional bronze statue that holds the title of being the oldest public sculpture in Birmingham.
It didn't start its life here, however. The statue was originally commissioned by the city of Dublin in 1717 and was erected in 1722 on Essex Bridge. The statue is a memorial to King George I, showing the king riding a horse in contemporary costume. He does, however, wear a laurel around his head, which is a reference to power and classical sculpture, following the style of sculpture used in ancient Rome for statues commemorating emperors, such as Marcus Aurelius. It was bought by the Barber Institute of Fine Arts, which is situated on UOB's campus, all the way back in 1937. The statue was lucky to survive its time in Ireland, as Republicans targeted monuments associated with British rule, even after Ireland won its independence. The artwork was moved to the garden of Dublin Mansion House before travelling to Birmingham, and thus was less of a public presence and has avoided damage.
So that's all we've got for you. Thanks for coming along with me, and I hope you've discovered some new parts of campus that maybe you hadn't quite looked at before.